was sitting parked there.
Oh, a camper?
It can, no RV, but still, it's 110, it's hot.
I've been off my own world.
I've been thinking,
Ask the police.
just thinking about, I think asking for volunteers tonight, the oil and oil and fire evacuation.
Well, she had two teeth taken, I guess.
Oh,
She doesn't feel
fire.
good, no, she.
I think we need a plan.
I hope we get to
We
see her
saw this in
tonight.
the storm the other day.
I don't know.
She couldn't get out of here and get out of it. We need kind of.
Especially when there's fallen trees.
Plan.
Oh, shoot.
Did you have printouts for the budget?
Yeah, we do, and Tim,
He's probably at the office printing them up.
they were printed yesterday morning, everything was
I know
ready, so.
Bentley's got an emergency evacuation route.
He's only been here once. He's been here once? I think somebody said this. Oh, okay.
No, it was set up
Tim?
yesterday.
Yeah,
This was set up
Tim's in the office.
yesterday.
I believe he was in the office. There's also the bios, and there are notes that people do. We have, I mean, financials are there, but.
We're not being told a lot of it. The US hasn't even found it.
It takes too long to set all this stuff up. To stand near the camera.
Anyway, I think it'd be a good idea.
Set up more anyway, right?
Before the idea of having an emergency evacuation, somewhere you can be able to get out of here and everything normal route.
I think that's a real good idea. Now, Billy, he's got built-in evacuation, just up, down and out. It's like, that's no problem,
Yeah.
but for the rest of us, it isn't so easy getting out of here.
Yeah, well, I know.
Oh, it's easy for me.
It's easy for you,
We
yeah.
can jump in the lake.
Well, you just gotta make good, you're gonna get out
National Fire break at 411, most fires come from the west, so we got a national fire break at 411.
Is that big enough?
The creek on the other side. If something jumps 411,
Yeah.
we need a plan.
People across the creek are making it easier. They're pretty much just about clear cutting everything now.
Oh.
So that will be a fire break.
Yeah. It'll
Well,
be a
that's
big
that, I
fire
think it's
break.
that place down on 136, it's got the gate,
It
they're coming
is.
back this way.
It's a scam,
Yeah,
guaranteed.
Where on the creek is this happening? Down there by you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can.
Cross
I
for
thought
me,
the National Forest owned up to,
evidently not.
no, I think it's that,
Everything's, it's like
you
demolition.
see
Yeah,
that, gated place down on 136 on the right?
yep.
Creekside.
I think, yeah, I
Yeah,
think
that's
that's
it.
what's coming up into the back there,
They're,
on the other side of the trout line.
they're the ones that,
7 miles of creek running.
yes, and they advertise, you know, come in, and they don't let you go anywhere, and it's all walkie-talkies, and you buy the lots unseen. They don't give you the covenants or anything before you purchase your lots.
And then you gotta
Yeah.
find water.
And no water, and one person says the power is underground, but the people who own it in North Carolina said the power is above ground. There's not a single telephone pole in there, not one. Because we went in the back way by, there's a little church, and if you turn down that road to go to the church, you keep going and it goes into that subdivision.
Oh, yeah.
And we rode around, I mean, they have nice roads. Real nice roads.
There are
136.
On the way to LJ.
Yeah, we've been kind of investigating it because they are clear cutting so much. I mean, the creek just runs red.
Other than cutting in roads, what's the point of cutting them?
I have no idea. And after you want to do that yourself, if you want to create your lot, and take your house.
So,
Right.
I mean, I can see if they're putting in like a clubhouse or something, but not,
They advertise that kind of clubhouse.
Okay, because it's like, it's hard
You know how they
I
advertise?
know the name of the company.
I did know you asked me.
so.
It is.
Cause I used to live in North Carolina, so everybody knows them.
It's an LLC over there.
When I had 3 days out of power outage, one day. Oh, thank you. You know,
Speeding?
well, yeah.
Where, here? Sometimes it's hard, the police will slow down, come down the hill.
Better than what is on the.
doesn't seem to apply all the time.
Yeah, this is,
I think Curtis,
this is to check some stuff.
Line Curtis, where she needs to go forward, right?
Oh, I know what you was doing this weekend.
No, I had to make the music from my dance tonight. So I was just checking to make sure it worked.
So we can compare that.
Yeah, my hearing aids don't hear, I mean,
Get them blown out?
I gotta take them out now.
That all of this plus this adds up to.
There is a sign up
That is.
if you want to participate in the open forum after the official meeting is over on the table there. Anybody wants to sign up for that?
I should have put a label.
No, it's okay.
This is the 2023 budget, this is the percentage. So it's different so far. So right there are some areas, there's one. This is just that can be done. Or I think it's 1947. It didn't ship the general idea, so you can see at the very, very bottom. It's not too bad against budget overall.
Going back to my.
Yeah.
Actually, we need it.
That was not budgeted, it was unbudgeted expenses. And you can see that.
You goes down for the caveman.
And that is, right now, as of, like, 28 cash in the bank. I added this line, which is the money that we're getting back from the tax sale, which is not realized yet. That's really kind of picture of where we're standing. We don't have that cash in the stack, but it's.
Oh, wow. You've been to the Legion lately?
I work on.
Every Monday I go and do the finance.
Okay, so doing all that.
We
We haven't been there in months.
And it's on.
I just got my membership renewal.
Out there for everybody to see.
Yeah, I remember.
I like those little can.
Hey. Oh, yeah. Just in case the AC wasn't working, but we took emergency measures.
Yeah, they, well, they meet Tim and the crew went over here and running off the other.
Yeah, you walk in my house, it's 68 to 70.
Oh, well, it's too cold.
Yeah, when you're living, yeah, you did well.
Did they? Good.
Massive. I had sprouted more, they
Cool.
I probably have about 30, 40 tomatoes growing back.
All right. Cool. We just made some tomato sauce with ours. Man, it was good. I didn't know what I was doing, but I thought it turned out good.
Semi-bullets.
Yeah, peeling them is that's the biggest part, peeling the stuff off. And you just take and mash them up in the thing and mayo, mayonnaise, no, what's that?
It's just fruits, eggs, egg white.
Yeah, you fluff it all up. Oh, really? Wow.
I'd like to thank everybody out, coming out today. It was a small but loyal crowd. I think somebody might have heard that we had air conditioning problems in the building earlier in the week, and that may have kept our attendance down. Thank y'all for being here. We're ready to get started, I guess. To call this meeting to order. Jackie, I believe you will do the attendance now.
Yes, sir. Everybody is here, correct?
Aye.
Very.
All right. All present, all present.
Next item will be the approval of the minutes from the last meeting and from the special meeting to hire Gordon County Sheriff's Security, and approval of the meetings from the special, approval of the minutes from the special meeting to purchase the old chapel. first, the approval of the minutes from the open meeting of May 20th, 23.
Has everyone read the minutes
Yes.
Yeah, through the email.
for the May 20th meeting? Has everyone read the minutes for the first part of the special meetings?
Does anybody need any time to read that? If not, do I hear a motion to approve those minutes?
I make a motion to approve all three.
Okay.
Second?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. The minutes for all three meetings are approved. Next is, under old business, Jackie, I think you have some information about the nominating committee.
Yes. We ended up with 3 candidates. You should have received or seen the bios. If you don't have a copy of the bios, I've put a stack of them on this table over here. And they are also on the website, yes. And, I think that's all I've gotta say about that. We don't have anything coming up except for the annual meeting in September on the 16th, 10 o'clock.
Okay, thank you, Jackie. Under other old business, I just wanted to update everybody on the chapel purchase. We are going through with the chapel purchase, but I don't know if anybody's tried to find a surveyor lately, but they're almost, non-existent. We had estimates of 2 or 3 months, and we finally found one. We had estimates of 2 or 3 months, and we got prices from 2,000 all the way to 40, and we're on their waiting list. As soon as we get the survey done, that purchase will be completed.
Turn the mic on, please.
Button to turn on. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, you're good now. I said, as soon as we get the,
All right.
survey done, then that purchase will be completed.
That was a good idea having that.
Is there any other old business? If not, next item up would be the property manager's report.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Turn me on. You're on.
I just turned it on.
All right, first and foremost, I would like to send thanks through all of you to everybody else that you know in the community for how this community pulled together during the storm of a little over a week ago. And I was just blown away by how much people helped their neighbors, helped us to get things done. A good example was both paths up to the southern Hunter Drive, where our pump house 3 is that fills the tank that's down there. And then there's another pumping station that's also up that way. Both of those were sealed off for us to get there because of trees and power lines down in the 2 roads that go up there. So we couldn't get there. We had power at the lake, and therefore that pumping station could work, but we needed the generators on elsewhere. And so I was able to call one of our people up there, and he was willing. He went and got the generators started, and so we kept the water flowing that way. And that was just a great thing that someone, and also found out in that process that he and others were shuttling people who had to park down below where the trees were across the road. And they would walk around the trees up to where they could get a shuttle up to where they needed to be. And that was going on for several hours. So just amazing, a couple of examples of neighbors really being neighbors, and I really appreciate that. First, I'd like to also follow up on what was said just a little while ago about our voting for the board that's coming up in September and the proxies. It was an interesting exercise in the whole world of PDFs for me to get out the email that included the proxies. The normal way I save a PDF, I attached it, I sent it out, and all kinds of people calling me, I don't see an attachment, or I can't open this attachment. So I saved it a different way, sent it out again, same thing coming again. So finally, I just printed it out, scanned it to a PDF, and then sent that, and it worked. For almost everybody, I still got a couple that couldn't open the PDF, so technologically challenged, I guess. Anyway, but they're out there now, and they are also available for, upon request, if anybody wants to come by the office to get a printed version or have one mailed to them, we can do that. They're important to, since most people tend to vote by proxy and not come to the annual meeting itself and vote in person in September, then those are very important. So hopefully everyone that wants one will get one, and that they will do their homework to be informed about the candidates and make wise decisions. Moving on to our ever-present issue, the gates. It is still an ongoing thing. The storm definitely caused extra issues that we weren't anticipating. Just as it looked like we were about to be finished with all the issues with the gates, then that happened, and it still has the phone lines messed up too, and the gates all operate through a phone system, or at least partially, and so Frontier is scheduled to be out here on Wednesday, the earliest they could get here, after calling in early this past week to get that fixed, because of course they're way backlogged because of the storms. So we will hopefully get everything functioning the way it should. If you or anybody you know still has any issues with any of the gates, just let us know about it by email. Those emails are out there for both myself and Tammy, so we can address those from the data side and clean up any issues like that. But the hardware that we were replacing at every gate has been done now. We will be adding a few more cameras for security purposes there at each of the gates, and hats off to Gary Korn for doing a whole lot of that work to get that done, and still a little bit more to go, and we will get there. So we should have a much better way to control who comes in, who comes out, and at least get their picture if they're not supposed to be in here, but they're coming in here anyway. Then as far as our water and generators system, just gave a little brief thing about how it kind of works in terms of electricity generators and pumps and all of that. But we have had several issues lately that are now repaired, and the system has been working well for at least a week. So we are very blessed with that, and keeping everything up since the last leak. We've actually gone over a whole week without a leak, and that's pretty much miraculous. So, so we're grateful for that. But that last thing that happened actually kind of super pressurized some of the lines, and so if it was going to leak, it was going to leak then, and we had several that one particular day because of a blip that happened that put more pressure on the lines than usual. So but once we got that straightened out, and so far it's working well. So, but do always stay vigilant for water running where it should not be running, and let us know about it as soon as you see something so we can address it as quickly as possible. And I think that's all I have for now.
Okay, thank you, Tim. Next up will be the financial report, my treasurer and Nancy.
So you should see in your packet, there are financials in your packet, and in my excitement about getting this thing to balance so well. Okay, balance so well, I did not put any labels, so I'm gonna tell you. If you have a pen, you can write the labels on each page. The first page is income. This is a profit and loss statement, cash basis, to show how much money we have in. So the income category kind of shows you all the areas in which we have received income and against the budget. On the very last column, so that's monthly from December prepaid, so that we have a lot of people who pay their whole year annual dues in December. So those are all the prepaids that we recorded, and then everything January, February, you'll see it month by month. So that's the income part of it. Below that, you'll see unbudgeted. So there are some things that we received that we did not have budgeted. So those are additional income that we've received. And you can see that the total income to date as of June 30th is $1,005,472 and some change. Now, in order to make sure that our profit and loss statement is accurately reflecting what's truly happening, I've provided you with the reconciled bank deposit high-level information. So you can see where how the bank deposits have line up with what we're reporting in terms of income. This is, I just want to say this is the first time this has happened since I've been treasurer. So I am very excited that we're finally at a place where our reports are matching. You know, you can look at the real money in the real bank and it matches the real money that we've seen deposited throughout time. So the first page is the income statement, and at the very bottom you'll see one of the things that we cannot do, and I've actually found out why, is we cannot, when you look at the POA dues or card, all of those dues, we cannot break out what was paid on 2023, that's what year we're in, right? 2023 dues versus what was from other past due, from, you know, old debt. So we received a lot of money in against old debt, but we can't differ. I honestly tried to differentiate, but it would mean going through every single bank deposit and every single transaction, which is in the 2,000 line items, and then clicking through 3 different things to see what exactly that payment was for. It's just not feasible. We do have, thank God, we have now, we're using Warren Averett as our accounting resource, and we do now have the ability so that next year we'll be able to separate out the 2024 dues from any past dues that we've received. So we're making progress, but we can't make it this year. So through the course of this year, we'll see the raw income that we've received against the various accounts, but we won't be able to break out past due versus current dues. Okay, so that's the income page. On a high level on income, you can see that 63% of the projected income has been received as of the end of June. What's really astounding right now is that we take the projected income from our dues and then we reduce it by the amount of unpaid, like we have a lot of people that don't pay. We know that, and so we take a certain amount out, so when we create the budget, we're budgeting against what we actually anticipate receiving. The very, very, very good news is that right now, that we are at 98% of the projected operating income. So this is only the end of June, so we are sitting very well in terms of bringing in funds for the year. And a lot of that is because we're doing some aggressive collections of past due accounts, and even with more to come. So we're sitting pretty in terms of income, and we're very delighted about that. So 98% of what we projected for our income for this year has already been received, and we have another 6 months of income to come in. So that's good news. On the second page, you'll see the second and third pages. So you'll see all of the things that we budgeted. So you'll see the 2023 budget, and at the end of that column, you'll see the percent of the budget that was spent. So there's about 1.5 pages of this is the assessment of how much money we've paid in each category of expenditure versus what we've versus what we budgeted. Now there are some areas that we that I'll kind of point out to you. There is one typo in here. I apologize. I found it last night when I was going over this one more time, and I said, okay, well, you're never going to be perfect, but there's one item which is the on heavy equipment maintenance. Yeah, it shows 19,847.48. That's actually should have been 1,987.48. So I inadvertently added an additional digit in there. So that's a lot better than it looked, and that brings it to actually still it's 140% of what was budgeted. And what we're doing this year is we're going through and we're being very, very careful, and we're looking at all of the expenses so that we can do a more intelligent budget next year. As you know, the treasurer changes over time. So I took it over this year. We did a budget that, as soon as I came in, and we based it on last year. This year has shown us that we made some places where we're really under budgeting. We are under budgeting in maintenance supplies. we're under budgeting road maintenance, we're under budgeting heavy equipment maintenance. Heavy equipment is awfully expensive. It's like awfully expensive, and we just have to live with that because we need that heavy equipment to do the work that we need. So that was under budgeted, small tools was under budgeted, and the water system generators, we under budgeted in that area. So we know that we're gonna correct these and do a better job on those things next year. That being said, if you look at the bottom line, our expenses are overall slightly above, because end June is 50% of the year gone. So end June should have been 50%, no more than 50%. We kind of like to keep it under to be, because things come up. It's at 54% of what was budgeted, which is not a bad place to be, given the road, major road repair we had to do. We are still working on the Adair Drive, which we had, because we had some erosion problems over there, so that cost a lot of money, and all of the water system problems that we are continuously plagued by. So and the gates, let's not even go there. The gates have been a nightmare, and we all know that, and anyway, so we are doing well given all of the challenges we faced this year. So that's on expenses. Now, the other thing that I've provided for you, if you look below the expenses, you'll see the bank statement, so you'll see what we actually did in the bank, and you can see that they're matching pretty nicely. So we have our expenses in QuickBooks are matching our bank account, which is exactly, again, where we wanna be. It doesn't match on a month-to-month basis, because sometimes you write checks in one month and then they don't clear till the next, they're not in the bank till the next, they don't hit the bank till the next month. So they're not expected to be reconciled on a month-by-month basis, but they need to reconcile over the course of many months. So we are again sitting well. The last piece of information I have provided you here is funds on hand. So, and this is because this year we have done some capital expenditures that were either unbudgeted or higher than budgeted. So we had the major pool repair, which hit against our reserve fund. We can't pay with that for those kinds of issues out of operating funds, because that would skew the budget immensely. So those were unbudgeted, and they're taken out of the reserve fund, which is exactly there for emergencies. So the pool repair, all major purchases, we bought a major piece of equipment that was $115,500 about. We paid off the truck loan, we bought a skid steer bucket, all things that we needed to buy. So those came out of the reserve fund. Nevertheless, so if you look at it, and I want to say one thing, and that is that, give me 1 second, I've got the number written down. So from the beginning, I've given you a chart that shows at the beginning of the year what we had on hand, and we were at $757,000 and change at the beginning of the year in terms of the money we had. That includes all of our various bank accounts. As of today, as of yesterday, we're at the current on hand funds are $519,000 approximately. But we also know that we have $165,000 that's just unrealized. So when we did the tax sale, the county is now working through sending us a check for the money that we acquired because people paid for past due fees in their buying of the lots, and that money will come to us, and we know it's gonna come to us. So that's 165. So sitting today, we're a little bit below where we were at the beginning of the year, but we've made a lot of expensive purchases, so we are looking pretty good. So we were at 757.7, now we're at 683,898. So we're almost at 684,000, which is a pretty good place to be, because you see some other communities that are doing a lot worse than we are, and we have had a lot of challenges, so I think we're doing quite well. Not to say we don't have to be careful, and we've still got to pay for the new acquisition. We're gonna be buying that building, so that's gonna take another, well, it starts out at $20,000, but we have to pay for all the inventory, closing costs, et cetera, so it'll probably be closer to $25,000 by the end of the day. Is that the 20,000 was
We're
running?
20,000 purchase
Yeah,
price,
so
it'll
about-
be 2,000 in the survey,
Yeah,
and
and
then
then-
miscellaneous further costs.
Yeah, so we're talking probably 25,000, but at the end of the day, to acquire that building, which will come out of the reserve fund, because it is another asset that we're buying. But we also have, in terms of financials, we also have a lot of properties that we have purchased and will be turning over, will be selling, hopefully at a good profit, or turning into additional amenities. So in some places, we wanna turn them into, hiking, hiking trails. I want hiking trails at this place. I am hoping that will happen during the time when I'm on the board. So anyway, that is where we're at, and that is the treasurer's report. Sorry to be so long.
Thank you, Nancy.
Very good.
Under new business, our Vice President Billy Robertson wanted a moment.
All right, guys, I didn't write a speech because, everything I do comes from the heart. So, we're just gonna take this off the top of the head. Past few weeks, I've had some tremendous loss in my family, and, it's made it pretty hard for me to do my job up here without getting emotions involved sometimes. And right now, I think it's best for me to take some time and reflect on myself and my family and be there for them. I just lost my mother. She was 54 years old, and I'm 35. So I'm the oldest of 5 children. It was a sudden thing. Nobody expected it, not even her. I know none of us ever expect that, but it's something that I now have a lot more on my shoulders than just carrying the weight of this place. So I just have to take some time, and I'm gonna go ahead and resign early. I know there ain't much time left, there's only a month or so, but I think it's in my best interest to do so. Cause y'all know it's in my heart to help everyone when I can. People stuck at the gates, people need something, anything, your dog stuck in a hole in the middle of the night, I couldn't tell you how many people I've helped do that. Bring a flashlight, This community's great, and I just wanna get back to, the roots of what my mom left behind, and that was forgive and have fun. So I've learned to forgive a lot of things, and I'm just gonna do a different approach on life for the next couple of years, or we'll see how it goes, because I can always come back. We can always get the votes, and I can always come back and do something. But I don't feel that I've accomplished what I truly wanted to accomplish up here. But given what I've been through and what all of us have honestly been through, it's hard, it's hard to take name calling from members, from board members, from, anyone. It's hard to take that type of aggression, especially when you're in the midst of grieving. And I'm guilty of it as well, I've been back and forth with anyone that would, feel like they wanted to go back and forth with me, and it's not always the best decision. So what I would like to leave this board with is some thank yous and just a couple of concerns. I would like to thank everyone up here for their hard work, first of all. Everyone up here has done a very great job in what they do. No one's perfect, but the hard work is unquestionable. The time spent is unquestionable by any of us. But when I got on here, I wanted to do more fun stuff. I want to be a fun guy. I want to make sure our playgrounds get shades and rubber pellets for the kids, or their slides ain't burning their butts, and I wanted amenities at the lakes and stuff. But this place has challenges, and there's always something standing in the way here, and it's important things that have to be addressed. And think that I was taking it a little bit personally that some of my projects were falling to the wayside. And, it's just, the fact of the matter is that this place needs help, and it's getting it. It's actually getting it, and I don't wanna hinder that in any way, shape, or form. So I'm gonna take this time to just step back and, finish out what I gotta do, and the couple concerns that I have is this. The gates are obviously one for everyone. We fought hard to get these back up and running. I'm very impressed with the hardware side of things. My only downfall of this is this old outdated phone system thing that's going on, and it's plaguing us again. If it wasn't a glitch in the system, it's a lightning strike or a tree falling. It's just very frustrating for people who forget their clicker or their card, and they depend on that call box, or they got a guest coming. And I was trying to help neighbors when that frustration was happening. I did what I could, and, that's what we were supposed to do as neighbors. We had a disagreement on this board that has, it's been hard, and it sucks being an adult, let's just say that. Being a grown-up is really hard, okay? Being a board member is almost harder, okay? But I addressed the problem that I had seen, and maybe I didn't do it in the right way, but it was definitely misinterpreted, and it caused a conflict. And I'm just trying to think of the best way to say this without hurting anyone's feelings or causing or continuing this conflict, because that is one reason I'm gonna try to be the bigger man and just go ahead and step back. These cameras are not what I thought we were getting, or maybe I'm wrong, but we only have one camera at the front gate that's working, and it's the very original one with the eye on it that's scratched. On the way in this morning, the two cameras that were there are now gone. Maybe they had to remove them, but none of them were working anyway. I'm just really concerned that we have diverted our remaining funds to community police, that we need to finish these cameras and gates. I just, cameras and gates are very important to all of us, to me, and you can't get none of the other fun stuff done if we got these big issues weighing on us all the time. And I just wanna leave the board with this, and I've left emails and concerns. Let's just start taking more of the approach towards, professional help, and don't put the weight of this place on your shoulders all the time, you know? Let's get professional people to help us sometimes, and now that, and I don't want any of y'all to think that I am trying to throw any one of these board members under the bus on any subject whatsoever, because like I said, they've all worked hard in here. But I think it's hard to admit to a fault that, some things don't go as planned. And, I just don't want a repeat of what we've already had. I just think we need a more sturdier system as far as gates and cameras go in general. Just a more commercialized look, a more commercialized feeling, and that would take a lot of stress off. Big, scary camera right in your face when you pull up to a gate in a plexiglass box type thing. I want something that's gonna be detrimental to criminals or anybody that don't belong here. They're gonna think twice about coming in here. The other thing is this. I'm gonna leave this to the community, since I'm being recorded and I have a few people here, and to the upcoming candidates. Come in with a light heart. Come in clear-headed, open-minded. Just always remember, there's always more to the story. There's always something else going on. There's, not everybody's always out to get each other. There are good people in this place. And I hope the newcomers come up and they really just come in open-minded and kind-hearted, and just put yourself in the position that, it's just what I try to do. Put yourself in the position that is in question, that the neighbor in question is. Put yourself in their shoes, you know, just give it a little time and a little thought. And, still just, you know, business is business, obviously. You can't break rules and, you gotta follow certain guidelines, but, there are certain things that we can do better. And I hope that we all continue to do better because, I'm very, very proud of this board. We got 2 members up here now that, you know, left during a time that was very scary for a lot of us. They, you know, no one should have to put up with some of the stuff that, you know, you do. And I'm gonna end it with this, and this is one of the reasons that I'm leaving today is because, like I said, I'm a little too emotional right now. I can't make logical decisions, and I'm very truthful, whether it comes to anything. I can't help that. And when my feelings get involved, I'm not gonna make good choices. So I just hope everybody understands that, I don't wanna feel like a quitter, but I gotta go. I need some time for my family, and I wanna get my house fixed up and be something to be proud of. Everybody ride by and say, oh, that's the vice president's house. Now, oh, that's the vice president's house. You know, I gotta get some paint on that thing. So I appreciate everybody for your time, and I'm gonna hand this off, this way. Thank y'all very much.
Whoops. Ow.
They throwing stuff at me already.
I just wanted to
You shut it
remind
off.
everyone that when Billy Robertson came on this board, he came on this board because literally no one else in this community would do it. He stepped up when he didn't have to, and he served well. And I think he's one of the most well thought after people in this community. So the board thanks him, and I think everybody in this community owes him a vote of thanks.
Yes.
Announcements, I think Jackie, you've got a few announcements you'd like to share with us.
Okay, annual meeting is September 16th, starts at 10 a.m. It will be catered. Father-daughter dance, it's also mother-son or entire family, everybody's invited. Starts tonight at 6 o'clock. Mary Gandy is going to host. Is she the one that's hosting it? Okay. The craft share, August 19th, right here at 10 a.m. And want to remind everybody, homeowners and owners of STRs, we've had several things that have happened recently, and one of the reasons is because the renters are given incorrect information. You don't tell a renter that they can start a float down Talking Rock Creek and tell them it's only going to take them 2 hours to their destination. Just this past week, started at 5:30, 4 hours later, they're in our backyard scaring us half to death, and because someone told them, and they still had another 2 or 3 hours to go to get to where they were supposed to be. And it was dark, my dogs, it was just a mess. So just be careful what you say, and possibly tell them in their booklets. I believe some of the STRs have grouped together and they've created a booklet for renters. You might want to include stuff like that, Don't start your float after noon.
Don't leave your kids
Oh.
at the pool unattended.
Yes, they left them there for hours at the Marie Pool, and the reception for cell phones is poor. They couldn't get into contact with their family members. There was another kayak float that went bad. got further, we didn't even hear them go by, and it was dark. It had to have been dark when they went by our house. I guess we had our lights off, but, further down the road where the group that was in our yard this past week, that's where the other group ended up and scared the mother and her son. So I would not give advice to people other than if you've never done this, don't do it now, especially in the afternoon, because it's gonna take a while. And, you know, the female was sort of hurt because she fell out and was landing on rocks, and it was just a mess. So that's what I have to say. Did you want to add anything to that, Mr. Tim? I didn't know if you wanted to give any advice. I hate these tables.
All right. Some of you may know a little bit about some of these incidents that occurred, but it is that anyone is free to, that's authorized to be inside our gates, is free to put in a kayak or canoe at the trout lodge and float down if they want to. And I've done it, and it took 4 hours, and I took my time, stopped, got out to the 136 bridge. Okay. And I've done it other times in less time than that, and always taking my time. So I'm not quite sure why somebody only made it about a half a mile in 4 hours, but anyway, to Jackie's house. So there must have been something else going on there. And we did find out through our sheriff's deputies that there was more going on with all of that. And it ended up with one of the vehicles that belonged to one of the parties was towed away and had some illegality stuff about it that I can't go into details right now. So anyway, it turned out to be a way to expose something that we would have wanted to got rid of anyway. So it kind of helped the situation have a little bit of crisis there. But still, Jackie's point is well spoken, that anybody needs to understand what the rules are here. These are private lots all along that creek, except the trout lodge. And until you get to the Corps of Engineer property, almost off of ours, almost to the lake, basically. You're coming up on a private lot, and if you haven't made prior arrangements with permission to do that, then you're trespassing if you come up through somebody's property. And people need to know and understand that. And if you have any influence with any of the people who own the short-term rentals, that they emphasize those kinds of things to their people. Because if they're breaking our rules as renters, then it has to fall back. We can only hold the owners accountable, and we will. And so that's about all I can say about it at this moment.
Anything else under announcements? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
Aye. Meeting is adjourned. And we have the community forum now. Anyone who has signed up, would like to speak?
Just give your name first when you.
And if you will, if you'll stand to either side of that camera, that way it will pick up your voice. If you have a question.
Yeah, if you don't mind. Amy Moore. Amy, if you would step up just beside the camera. I think there's a microphone there, isn't
Yeah,
there?
just to the side, it's good.
Thank you.
I didn't receive a ballot, but that's another topic. And my question was, if you purchased a tax sale property in Gordon County, but it's still pending the finalization, do you get a vote for each lot you bought? Does anyone know?
You have not, I'll take a step at it.
Okay.
You have not received the county's provisional deed, often called a tax deed or deed under power.
I don't know. Oh, so check that first.
Should have received that.
Okay.
And really, it's a question that I don't know
Okay.
what the CCR specifically state about that. You are responsible for the upcoming year, and actually from the date of purchase for HOA dues, so it would seem reasonable that therefore those lots would have a vote.
Wouldn't they need to register at the office so they transfer the property's ownership from the
Yes, and
previous to theirs?
And we have all that information already.
Oh, so we've done that in
That's
the
been
books.
updated,
Then
yeah.
you should be listed as the.
I don't know that we have all the Gilmer County, which was only really 6 lots that changed hands.
Is there anything in our CCNR that indicates when you become a member?
It's when you own the property and your name is on a deed, which technically that does occur with a tax sale. Like I say, according to our collections attorneys, when someone purchases a lot in a tax sale, they are responsible for the HOA assessments from the date of the tax sale. So it would make sense that from that date, they should have voting rights as well.
When would the assessments be due on those lots of southern tax sale?
The way we've done it in the past is depending on when in the year the tax sale is, but if it's middle of the year or after, we typically just forego those for that year and just bill them for the coming year. So in November, really first part of December, those bills would go out for the upcoming year. And it's a little special this time in that the way we did the tax sales, we added on a bid on every one of those lots that did add an amount that the HOA, that's the $165,000 that we will be getting back from the counties because we bid up the prices above the minimum bid. And so those we can claim as a lien holder against those properties. And so it approximates $165,000 that we will be receiving from the 2 counties altogether, but mostly from Gordon. And now I forgot why.
Do I understand if Amy has a provisional deed on the property and
Yes.
she is a member? So
That's right. And they did, like I say,
copies.
essentially, that's where I was going with that, because we added on those amounts, and I know on theirs, it was pretty much approximated what was owed on those lots, that they basically have paid the dues for this year.
That was the only person that signed up. Does anybody else have a question?
If you will stand next to that camera to pick up your audio. Will you tell us your name?
Cecilia Greengrass. I'm a little confused. This is the board, and every year 3 people leave, or 2 people leave, or how does that work? And does that mean we're gonna vote for 2 of the 3, or because you're leaving, is it 3 of the 3?
My seat, it goes by chair. So my chair is already up. I didn't rerun. So it
And-
goes by chair.
In the odd years, we have 2 open seats on the board. In the even years, we have 3 open seats.
A 2-year term,
Yes.
so that person serves 2 years, and then they will, then there will be election, and they will either be reelected or not.
And on your proxy for this year, you get to choose up to 2 people.
To kind of paint the whole picture, we have a 5-member board, okay? And each term for those 5 people is 2 years, right? But they alternate as to when those are up for election. So this year it's 2 of them, and then next year it'll be 3.
Got it.
Okay.
So we have two openings and 3 candidates this year, correct?
And my
It's our 2
resignation
seats that are open.
won't affect anything.
Because you're,
Yeah, and there's nothing but a month left, so there's no reason to fill
In
my
your
chair.
turn.
Yeah, and I'm vice president, so
Okay.
there's not like a set thing that I have or am needed for, per se.
I didn't know that. Okay, thanks.
anybody else? Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, I came in late, so, yeah, my name is Mark Drummond, but I have a question, you may have already covered this when I wasn't here, but, what's the
You would
status of,
stand a little bit closer to the microphone.
what's the status of the chapel property?
Gary?
I'm sorry?
Status of the
Status of the chapel property. Oh, the status of the chapel property. I'm sorry, you may have come in late. We're still gonna purchase it. The problem we have is all the surveyors are booked up. They're either crazy, they're crazy for the price they want. We're doing this for the benefit of the recording, by the proceed with the purchase. The survey, you should be able to get the survey done in the next couple of weeks. We're on a 1-month waiting list, and as soon as that is done, then we'll proceed with closing.
Cool. Thank you. What, do we have, oh, sorry. Do we have plans yet for the use of that building? Pardon me?
Parties.
We've got ideas.
General community use.
Sure, yes. For parties.
One of the things we know that is that the campground still uses that, the downstairs part in that building for shelter during storm, and that will continue. And then if we acquire it, we'll clean it up, and then we'll come back to the community for more ideas. We've got some ideas, like, it'd be nice to have a library in there. There's a media system in there that we could use. Meetings like this would be ideal for the chapel. So there are numerous things, and that's all in the works for later.
Excellent, thank
That
you.
way we can put my ping pong table over here, a pool table right here.
Like we used to have.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Oh, I'm sorry, girl.
I would like to have dinner theater. Really, a small little theater, a little play here and there, just for
Basket and a
fun.
turkey leg.
No, not that kind of.
Oh.
So you want to be a star?
I've directed numerous plays. So, it's a perfect little, just for a little theater, or, there's so many options with that building.
Yes.
There really is.
Community space.
Also use it as, a wedding chapel. So we're gonna, we're working on the stuff with the trout lodge, and then possibly use this place as well, so,
Part of the wedding package.
for rental.
They have a movie screen, so movies could be shown there as well.
Nice.
This even comes with its own honeybees.
Bonus.
Sweet.
Thank you.
Sweet.
All right. Thank y'all.
This is.
Oh, I am so sorry.